Today I want to talk about something I've been seeing more and more of recently, and that is men reminiscing about the good old days, when women were built different, they made sacrifices for their families, they just gave and gave and gave. While modern women, they say, are too demanding, entitled, selfish, overly picky, and so on. But the good old days dynamic was mainly advantageous to men because it gave them near total power and control in relationships. Although women were financially supported, they were entirely dependent on men for survival, first on their father and then their husband. Women didn't have access to higher education and better paying jobs, so they couldn't support themselves even if they wanted to. Because of this, if her husband was abusive, cheating on her, or constantly disrespecting her, leaving wasn't a viable option. Divorce laws also used to be more strict, and divorce was considered socially reprehensible. A woman would have had little to no support from family and friends if she left her husband. So there's three main factors that kept women attached to their husbands. They're not permitted to earn their own income, divorce laws were more strict, and divorce was considered socially and morally reprehensible. As far as I have observed, men who complain about how different women are from the past never mention these three factors. If women did have their own money, if divorce was accessible and not treated with extreme contempt in the past, no one can say how many women would have stayed with their husbands, especially the abusive and toxic ones. Today, more and more women are paying their own rent and bills, purchasing their own properties, and starting their own businesses. In Canada and US, the number of university-educated women outnumber the number of university-educated men. This gives women more power and leverage in relationships. Women who financially support their families can negotiate an equitable division of domestic work and childcare. And in the event that they're not getting adequate support, they can walk away. Currently, this is one of the reasons why women are filing for divorce. Their partner refuses to contribute towards domestic labor and childcare even when both are working full-time. In 2014, Kathleen Cooper wrote an article called Wearing the Pants, A Brief Western History of Pants. She writes, conservatives warned that allowing ladies to wear pants would be more dangerous than a ticking time bomb. Many religious leaders feared that women wearing pants would become immodest. It wasn't ladylike. Girls would be wild instead of quiet and modest, and no one would want to marry them. The family would be destroyed, men would become weak and effeminate. They wrote editorials fretting that cross-dressing by women would cause social and moral chaos, ranting that the difference between the sexes would be obliterated. It's 2021, and there are still men saying things like this when women talk about equitable division of labor at home, about feminism, or just women's empowerment in general. At the heart of all this is power and control. An independent woman is still seen as a threat to society, to the traditional family structure, and to masculinity. But the reality of life in growing numbers of societies is that it is impossible for one person to support their entire family. In Canada, where I live, wages have not kept up with the rising cost of living. In major cities, housing costs are out of this world, and a lot of millennials have completely given up on the idea of buying a home. Between rent and daycare fees, a lot of families have little left after taxes, and many families are living paycheck to paycheck. Due to the current economic condition, more women will have little choice but to join the workforce. Women have made major social progress in a pretty short amount of time. This is changing their role in heterosexual relationships, and the homemaker-breadwinner dynamic is becoming less and less common. As a result of these factors, there are men who feel uncertain about their role in relationships. A growing number of them are turning to misogynistic social media influencers who coach them on dating, masculinity, and male and female roles in relationships. These influencers and the men who consume their content openly bash independent women online. They think of feminism and women's independence as an attack on masculinity. They insist that women should be at home and that their role is to be feminine and submissive to their husband, while men should be breadwinners leading their household, even in our current economic state. Hating social changes isn't new, and people who feel like they're losing power due to social changes isn't new either. We've come to a point now where women are damned no matter what we do. If you choose to stay at home, you're a gold digger, but if you're an independent woman, you're too masculine. If you put out too soon, you're easy and you get ghosted, but if you don't put out soon enough, you get ghosted anyway. If your partner did you dirty, it's your fault for picking a bad boy. But if you decide to vet more carefully, you're going to die alone because you refuse to just settle for anyone. No matter what you actually want for yourself, your purpose in life is to produce children. And if you don't want to have children, you must be broken inside. Despite all this noise, each of us ultimately have to live with the choices that we make. So, I make my own money and I live my life on my own terms. This is the advice I would give to every woman today. Complete your education, sign up for those professional development courses or the language lessons you've been thinking about. Apply for that job in a new city, start your Etsy business, go for that promotion, invest your money in stocks and ETFs. Buy that home if you have the means to do so. Even if you choose to be a stay-at-home mom, earn as much as you can before you move in with your partner and keep that money in your own account. Do what you want with your life, but secure the bag first, because having more money gives you more power and women can use more of both.